Welcome to an exploration of Genesis 1:11, the foundational chapters that shape the biblical understanding of creation, humanity, and divine purpose. These opening chapters set the stage for everything that follows, introducing a universe brought into being by deliberate order, the emergence of human life, and the unfolding of choices that ripple through generations. As we journey from the cosmos birth to the first family's struggles, we'll see how ancient stories address timeless questions about our origins, our flaws, and the hope for restoration. Let's begin at the very start. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis opens with a world that is formless and empty. For 6 days, God speaks order into chaos, separating light from darkness, waters from sky, and land from sea. Each act of creation is intentional, building a structured cosmos where every element has its place. The narrative emphasizes that creation is not random but purposeful, and each stage is declared good. On the sixth day, humanity is introduced as the pinnacle of this order, and the whole is pronounced very good. This vision of a harmonious universe sets the standard for what is to come. Story soon narrows its focus from the cosmos to the Garden of Eden, where humanity is given a unique role. Man is formed from the dust and placed in a lush garden not just to enjoy its beauty but to cultivate and keep it. This purpose is both a gift and a responsibility, highlighting humanity's partnership with the Creator. The garden is filled with trees pleasing to the eye and good for food, ensuring every need is met. Here, the narrative introduces the idea of stewardship and the ideal state of harmony between people and nature. Eden, every tree is described as both beautiful and nourishing. Humanity's needs are fully provided for, and the narrative introduces the creation of woman as a suitable helper for man. This partnership is foundational, establishing the value of companionship and mutual support. The garden is a place of innocence and trust, where the man and his wife are both naked and unashamed. This state of vulnerability and openness is presented as the ideal human condition, before the entrance of conflict and shame. Despite the abundance in Eden, there is a single restriction: the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God commands, "You shall not eat from it, for in the day that you eat from it you will surely die." This prohibition introduces the concept of moral boundaries and the freedom to choose. The presence of this tree and the command not to eat from it set the stage for the drama of human choice, responsibility, and the consequences that follow. Innocence is still intact, but the possibility of transgression now exists. At this point in the story, the man and his wife live in a state of innocence. They are both naked yet feel no shame. This detail emphasizes the purity and openness of their relationship with each other and with God. There is no fear, no hiding, and no sense of guilt. This innocence is fragile, however, and the narrative hints that it is about to be challenged. The stage is set for a pivotal moment that will alter the course of human history. New character enters, the serpent, described as more crafty than any other creature. The serpent engages the woman in a conversation that sows doubt about God's command and motives. Promising godlike knowledge, the serpent claims, "Your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." This moment introduces temptation and the allure of wisdom, setting up the critical choice that will change everything. Woman considers the tree. It is good for food, a delight to the eyes, and desirable for gaining wisdom. Motivated by these reasons, she takes the fruit, eats, and gives some to her husband, who also eats. Instantly their eyes are opened and they realize their nakedness. They sew fig leaves together to cover themselves, marking the loss of innocence and the birth of shame. This single act fractures the order and harmony of Eden. After their disobedience, the man and woman hide from God. When confronted, the man blames the woman and the woman blames the serpent. This moment reveals the breakdown of trust and the beginning of alienation, not only from God but from each other. The consequences of their actions will now reshape their relationships and the world itself. God pronounces a series of consequences. The serpent is cursed to crawl on its belly and becomes the enemy of humanity. There will be ongoing conflict between the serpent's offspring and the woman. This curse sets up a long-term struggle, hinting at future redemption but also ongoing strife. For the woman, pain in childbirth and relational strife are introduced. The text describes a new dynamic: "Your desire will be for your husband and he will rule over you." This marks a shift in the relationship between man and woman, introducing tension and hierarchy where there was once equality and harmony. The man's consequence is tied to the ground itself. The earth is cursed and he will now eat through painful toil and sweat. Mortality is introduced: "For you are dust and to dust you shall return." This marks the beginning of human struggle with work, survival, and the reality of death. God clothes the man and woman with garments of skin, a gesture of care even in judgment. They are exiled from Eden, and the way to the tree of life is guarded by cherubim and a flaming sword. This exile marks the end of humanity's direct access to paradise and the beginning of life in a world marked by struggle and separation. Outside Eden, the first family faces new challenges. Cain and Abel, sons of Adam and Eve, bring offerings to God. Abel's is accepted, but Cain is not. Jealousy and anger take root, and despite God's warning, Cain kills his brother Abel. This is the first murder, showing how sin quickly spreads from individual disobedience to violence between people. God confronts Cain. "Where is Abel your brother?" Cain famously replies, "Am I my brother's keeper?" The ground itself cries out with Abel's blood. As punishment, Cain is cursed to be a wanderer, unable to farm the land. Yet God places a mark on Cain to protect him from being killed, showing a balance of justice and mercy. Descendants of Adam split into two lines: the line of Cain and the line of Seth. Cain's descendants become city builders and pioneers of culture, livestock, music, and metalwork. Yet violence escalates, culminating in Lamech's boast of vengeance. In contrast, Seth's line is marked by connection to God and the phrase, "and he died," emphasizing mortality. Enoch, who walked with God, stands out as a figure of hope. As generations pass, the world becomes increasingly corrupt. The narrative describes a time when the sons of God and daughters of men intermingle, producing the Nephilim. Wickedness becomes pervasive, and every intention of the human heart is described as only evil continually. God's sorrow and grief over creation reach a breaking point, leading to a dramatic decision. God's response to the world's corruption is one of deep sorrow. The Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. The decision is made to blot out humanity and all living things. Yet in the midst of judgment, one man stands out. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah's righteousness offers a glimmer of hope in a world overwhelmed by evil. God instructs Noah to build an ark, a massive vessel designed to preserve life through the coming flood. Detailed instructions are given, emphasizing the seriousness and precision of this rescue mission. The ark represents both judgment and salvation, a covenantal promise that life will continue, even as the world is cleansed of its corruption. At the age of 600, Noah enters the ark with his family and pairs of every living creature. The sources of the deep burst open and the floodgates of the sky are unleashed. This cataclysm is a reversal of creation's order as chaos returns to cover the earth. The rain falls for 40 days and 40 nights, and the waters rise above the highest mountains. Flood is described with striking details: rain for 40 days and nights, waters prevailing for 150 days, and the ark floating above the highest mountains. Every living thing outside the ark perishes. The numbers emphasize the totality of the judgment and the magnitude of the event. Only Noah, his family, and the animals with him survive. After months of devastation, the waters begin to recede. The ark comes to rest, and eventually dry land appears. Noah, his family, and all the animals emerge into a cleansed world. The first act is one of gratitude. Noah builds an altar and offers a sacrifice, acknowledging God's deliverance and faithfulness. God responds to Noah's sacrifice with a promise: "I will never again curse the ground on account of man." The rhythms of nature, seedtime and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, are guaranteed. This covenant is universal, extending to all living creatures and future generations. The rainbow is set in the clouds as a sign of this everlasting promise. Rainbow becomes the visible sign of God's covenant. "I set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a sign of a covenant between me and the earth." This symbol reassures humanity that the earth will never again be destroyed by flood. It is a reminder of mercy, hope, and the enduring relationship between the Creator and creation. As life resumes, Noah becomes the first to plant a vineyard. In a scene echoing Eden, he drinks wine, becomes drunk, and lies uncovered in his tent. His son Ham sees his father's nakedness and tells his brothers, while Shem and Japheth respectfully cover Noah. This incident reveals that, despite the flood, human flaws persist and cycles of transgression and consequence continue. Noah's response to this incident is to curse Canaan, the son of Ham, declaring he will be a servant to his brothers. In contrast, Shem and Japheth receive blessings. This episode demonstrates that the flood cleansed the earth but did not erase the deeper issues of human nature. The story continues to trace the consequences of choices across generations. Genesis 10 provides a sweeping account of the descendants of Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This table of nations traces the origins of the world's peoples, languages, and lands. It's an ancient ethnography, emphasizing both the unity and diversity of humanity as they spread out to fill the earth. The land of Shinar, humanity is united by a single language and a bold ambition: to build a city and a tower reaching to the heavens. Their technology, bricks and tar, enables their project. Their motive is to make a name for themselves and avoid being scattered, directly opposing God's command to fill the earth. This act of self-glorification and fear of dispersion sets the stage for divine intervention. God observes the unity and ambition of humanity at Babel and intervenes by confusing their language. Unable to understand one another, the people abandon their project and scatter across the earth. The city is named Babel from the Hebrew word for to confuse. This event explains the origin of diverse languages and cultures and marks the end of humanity's unified rebellion. Primeval history concludes with the failure of humanity on a global scale at Babel. The narrative now shifts focus from all nations to a single lineage. The story narrows to Abram of Ur, whose journey will carry forward a new promise. The closing verses introduce a new tension. Sarai, Abram's wife, is barren. This sets the stage for the next great act in the biblical story: a journey of faith, promise, and the birth of a people.